Hey everyone, this is Jason. This is Marvel United X-Men Kickstarter stretch goal characters. This is the heroes. This is part 2, so check out part 1 to see a bunch of characters. So that one kind of goes through a lot of the random or mismatched characters. This video we're going to try and jump into more of the characters that fit into teams. So I am just going to jump right into it. We just got to move the box out of the way. So in the last video we left you with a cliffhanger of we were going through Wolverine adjacent characters. So now we are going to look at Phantom X. So here we have, is it Jean-Philippe? I forgot his exact name. So there he is. So he was part of Wolverine's X-Force for a while. Or several other X-Force teams. His power is misdirection. Essentially, he's this master thief. But he's also got, like, two big different powers. Or a couple, actually. His main one is, he's got a starting card here. Is misdirection. He also has, multiple brains. I think it's 3 brains. Plus he has a spaceship called Ava, who he can control. So basically he can control this big giant spaceship. He can do stuff. He grew up in this place called the World, which is like it's crazy. Lots of stuff. But yeah, he's a master thief. He's always stealing things. Then yeah, his misdirection power, which I don't know if they'll go over it in this set or not. But yeah, he can create like fantastical illusions essentially for people, which just sort of like in their mind. But by the time they realize it, he's usually escaped. So here's a starting card called Cybermind. As long as this card is spaced up in the storyline at the end of the villain turn, you may perform one heroic or attack in the villain's location. So that's super fun. Haven't seen that before. Movement, heroic, attack, wild, double wild. So you can kind of see where he's at. He can do whatever he needs to get done, type of thing. He also has 2 copies of Analytic Intelligence, which also have wild. Look at the top card of the Master Plan deck and put it back on top, so you can kind of figure out what's going on, but you can at least see what's coming up. And then he does have a copy of Misdirection. As long as this card is spaced up in the storyline, when the top card of the Master Plan deck is revealed, you may immediately move to an adjacent location. So you can see what it's going to be, and then he can move if he needs to. So if it's like, oh crap, like the guy's going to land on my space, he can move to the left or right, or he can move out of the way. So that's definitely fun. That's way too many wild cards. Alright, so our first team is going to be very loosely that, and this is Mojoverse characters. This is why it's very loose, because they're not actually a team, but they've been part of the X-Men plenty of times. We have Longshot, who I don't know if he has another name or not. I love these hopping over the wall. He throws some knives. He was also part of the Exiles for a while, so I could start my Exiles team with him and Blink. And if I go into the regular Marvel set, I also got Spider-Man 2099, so there's at least 3 characters I can make the team of. I have to double check to see who all the rest, if there's anyone else that would work for that. Psylocke, she was part of it for a while. Otherwise, I think everyone else is probably a little bit too far off. But that's right. So here's Longshot. He has luck-based powers, much like Domino. So he just does stuff like he jumps and things happen. but he's a lot more carefree. So he lives in Mojoverse, which is a big giant it's an alternate world, but it's singular. There's only one Mojoverse ever that's never been duplicated anywhere else. Move heroic. Essentially, it's full of TVs, and these Mojo and his people they create these TV networks and get ratings. Everything's based on getting ratings and stuff. And lots of times he tries to record the X-Men or capture them and have them do stuff because people love seeing the X-Men fight. He doesn't really bother the other superheroes that much. It's just mainly mutants, which is kind of funny. So that's interesting too. So then we have move attack, move heroic, heroic, wild. He's got 2 copies of healing factor. You may draw a card until you have 3 cards in your hand, and 2 copies of probability manipulation, which are the top 3 cards of the master plan deck, and place them back in any order. So that's fun. We just had Phantom X had a bunch of wilds. I'm surprised Longshot didn't have more wilds. They were showing like they'll be able to just figure out what is going on. Then the second character that kind of ties in with that is Allison Blair, or Dazzler. So yeah, she is Longshot's sometimes girlfriend, sometimes wife. She's been part of the X-Men plenty of times. Her powers are sound and light based. She converts sound into light. She was also a disco star. But this is kind of more of her costume when she was running around Mojoverse. So she has movement, move attack, or move heroic. There she's shooting some light. So she has attack, move heroic, heroic, her wilds. She's got 2 copies of sound conversion. Gain and attack tokens equal to the number of civilians in your location. So like, the more noise they make, the more damage she can do. And then she's got light projection. Gain heroic tokens equal to the number of thugs in your location. So kind of more noise they're making, she can make heroic actions kind of idea. She can produce like holograms and stuff. She can shoot laser beams. She can shoot like little bursts, loud, like different things. She's made swords from her blast before. She can projectile. She can make physical objects. She can make holograms. She has lots of really cool powers that rely on sound. If she's near someone that has like a touch, someone that has a sound-based abilities like Banshee or Siren, with Sonic Scream Cutter, she can do a lot of extra damage. There's actually one comic book where it's like an apocalyptic future. I can't remember which book it is or what story it is. So spoilers for whatever story that I don't know what this is, but they needed an ultimate threat to stop. I want to say it was Thanos. So basically, she was their ace up the sleeve. So they had her stand up against Thanos, and she's kind of like, I don't know who you are. And then Black Bolt stood behind her and yelled. I mean, if you know who Black Bolt is, his ability is even a whisper is enough to destroy a mountain. So he shouted with the loudest power. It's basically enough to generally shatter half of a planet, but converted it all directly into Dazzler, which I think might have killed her, but it definitely gave her a power boost. Alright, so here we have Spiral. So she's tied to Mojoverse. She is a henchman that Mojo employs a lot. She also has teleportation skills. She has 6 arms. Frequently a villain. She also is a hero in this set, because sometimes she doesn't ever join the X-Men or anything, but she can kind of be helpful. So more of like at least not a villain, but at least maybe not quite a villain, I guess. But they're also, I think, like if you watch video 1, they were making a lot more teleporters in this set. So she has her base card, her starting card, Teleport Away. She also does general different other types of magic. It's not just teleportation. So gain 1 wild token. As long as this card is face up on the storyline, whenever the top card of the master plan deck is revealed, you may immediately discard 1 action token to move all heroes in your location to any other location. That's fun. You gain your token anyhow, and then you at least got 1 good chance to use it. Move Heroic. Double Heroic. Move Attack. Double Attack. Some Heroic. Some Attack. For a teleporter, she does not have a lot of movement abilities. Which I like, because that's not her only thing. And then she has 3 copies of Spell Dance, which I believe are all the same, yes. She casts like spells to teleport. For each Spell Dance card in the storyline, choose 1. Draw a card, gain a heroic token, or attack against a thug or henchman in your location. So the first time you get 1 of them. Second time you get 2. The third time you play when you get all 3 of them. And yeah, so for each one, but the thing is, yeah, so the first time you get 3 chances. You don't have to do all 3. You can do the same one 3 times if you want. So that's actually pretty cool. What do they need? She had like 4 or 5 of them. But, you know, it's what it is. So that's Spiral. We just see her as a villain later. Alright. So let's start with the team that has the most characters. We're going to start with the New Mutants. So here we have Bobby DaCosta, Sunspot, who has done a lot of stuff. So he actually has some money. He's really neat. So there he is. His powers to absorb solar radiation, which gives him increased strength. He can also turn into he can do shoot energy bolts. He can also turn absorb it into him and become sort of a black flamed version of kind of like the Human Torch. So the Human Torch covers himself in flame. He can sort of become all black, like black flames almost. Just kind of neat, sort of like a black hole-ish. Unfortunately, I don't show a picture of it on here, but yeah, it's kind of neat. So he's got movement, move heroic, move attack. There's showing him shooting off some blasts. Move attack, some wild, and he's got 3 copies of Solar Radiation Absorption. At the end of your turn, gain 1 movement, heroic, or attack token for each different location you occupy this turn. So as he's moving around, he'll gain some stuff. And then 3 copies of Solar Rechanneling. Gain 1 wild token, then you may turn any action tokens you have into wild tokens. That's fun too. The one can gain him a bunch, and then this one can turn around and turn them all into wilds, and he can kind of do whatever he wants. Yeah, he can join. He's best friends with Cannonball from the X-Force set. And he works with Cable, so he can join those guys. So yeah, they're New Mutants, but New Mutants became X-Force, so they're kind of a double-dealing team here, at least for some of these characters. Up next, we have a real fun character. We have Tabitha Smith, Boom Boom. Originally found by the X-Men when she was a teenager, and then eventually she got brought onto the New Mutants, and then X-Force when they became that. So here we have Boom Boom. She gets some movement. Her her powers are time bombs. She can basically create balls of exploding balls of like fire or plasma, but she sets her personal timer to it, so she can set it to go off in 5 seconds, 10 seconds. So it's kind of where her name comes from, is Boom Boom. It's actually a neat idea. She's not just throwing blasts, but she has to like set a little timer to them. She does like counting stuff down. So move heroic, some attack, move heroic, attack, some wilds. Then here we have 2 copies of Time Bomb. So place a bomb token in your location or adjacent one. At the start of the next building turn, remove the token and deal 1 damage to everything else in that location. So she's going to get 3 of these tokens, the little time bomb tokens. I don't know why they gave her 3 exactly when there's only 2 of those. But that's alright. Then she's also got 2 copies of Meltdown. Deal 2 damage against a single target in an adjacent location. She's also kind of interesting because she kept changing her code name. Most of these other characters, when they go from team to team, they keep the same code name. But when she was in the original New Mutants and beginning in X Factor or X Force, she was Boom Boom. Then she became Boomer for a long time. Then she changed it to Meltdown. She was also, when she lost her abilities during Decimation, she had a different identity, which I can't remember. Then she got her powers back. She went back. I think she went back to either Boom Boom or Boomer. She dropped Meltdown. Fun character. Alright. Now we have Furl. She is a shapeshifter, kind of, like a werewolf. She can turn into a cat-type form. I think she's generally always in her cat form. But I believe she has the ability to change. I could be wrong on that. I know Wolfsbane can change. Furl may not. She also has a sister called Thorn. Which would have been cool if they had her as well as like a villain. Yeah, so here's Furl. So we'll look at her. So there's a really good comic back in the mid-90s during Executioner Song where the X-Men and X-Factor team up to fight X-Force. So you just see, and we have a lot of these characters in here. So again, this could be a nice team battle. You could try and recreate some of it. We have like Wolverine fighting Shatterstar, Furl and Wolfbane going at it. Just some of the different characters, like these different teams fighting against each other, hero teams, is just kind of neat. Some attack, movement, movement and heroic. There's a movement attack, double attack. Got some wilds. 2 copies of Claws and Teeth. So you got movement with some double attacks. And 2 copies of Acute Senses. The next time you would take 1 damage or be assigned 1 crisis token, you may flip this card face down to ignore it. So if it's later in the story, that's fine. But if it's like right after you played it, then it will kind of like wreck somebody else's stuff. But that's neat. I like that there's Acute Senses there. Other people have had Acute Senses. But they do different things. So it's always fun that you can have the same named abilities, but they don't always do the same thing. It's a good way of showing characters use their powers in different ways. Here we have Danielle Moonstar, also known as Mirage. So she's firing an arrow. So she makes she can shoot people and kind of create mental images and fear, like kind of psychic manipulation, stuff like that. If you watch the New Mutants movie, she's also in it. She's one of the main characters. So you see some of these other characters like Sunspot and Cannonball are in that as well. Magic's in there, so you just watch the characters in that New Mutant movie. Not 100% the exact same as the comic book, but as close as you can. Sunspot is also in Days of Future Past X-Men movie, along with Blink, like Iceman, Colossus, Bishop, some of them other cool characters. Check that Danielle Moonstar. She has Mirage. Move attack. Move heroic. Just attack. This is awesome because of the this astral bear. Because she creates kind of like things that like mess with people's minds. And then this bear is like a thing that's been haunting the New Mutant characters for years in the comic books. It keeps like a recurring thing. Double heroic. We got some wilds. 2 copies of Empathetic Illusions. Relocate any number of civilians, thugs, and threat cards between you and adjacent locations. Ooh, that's pretty fun. 2 copies of Neural Arrow. Attack. This turn you can use your attack in adjacent locations. And then finally we have 2 copies of Resist Death. Until the beginning of your turn, all heroes in your location cannot be forced to discard their last card. So this kind of has an interesting story to it as well. She became a Valkyrie for a while. She has a horse named Brightwing, a Pegasus. So she was one of the Valkyrie with like the character Valkyrie, Brunhild, and she did stuff. But then she kind of like I need to go do my stuff, my X-Men, my mutant stuff. She did all that. And she lost her powers for a while. Then she more recently got the equivalent powers back, sort of as a Valkyrie, but she got them from Hela. And she's kind of, has to help her out once in a while. So that's also a fun little thing with her. Even when she lost her powers during the M-Day, she still did stuff. Alright, our next New Mutant we just talked about is Magic. Ileana Rasputin, Colossus' sister. Since she has a soul sword, she has a metal arm. Little portal down there. Yeah, she got sent to Limbo, which is sort of like a hell. Not the hell, there's actually a hell, and there's hell with one L, which is Asgardian hell. But this is Limbo, it's kind of the space in between. She got sent there as a kid, and was basically Belasco, who runs the place, was trying to corrupt her. She has a demonic form as well. Yeah, very, very interesting character. So she got aged up, so like you saw her at one point. Sometimes in the comics she's a little kid, other times she's a teenager. As the kid, she did actually die of the legacy virus, which is something Strife, who's another character, one of the other sets we've talked about, creates virus to try and kill mutants. Basically makes her powers flare out. So yeah, she died as a kid. It's a very sad issue. Jubilee's in it. It's one I would recommend reading. I want to say, I think it's like number... Oh crap, I want to say number 300, but I don't think that's correct. It has like you can get one of the gold cover. It's a really good issue of Uncanny X-Men, I believe. Yeah, it's really neat, and that's why Colossus later on, quote-unquote, died trying to stop the legacy virus because of his sister, all this stuff. But yeah, as a teenager, she learned magic. She has magical stepping stones, which is her mutant power. Her sword can go cut through magical spells. She's currently learning magic from Doctor Strange. So lots of really interesting stuff with her. So her starting card is Mystical Armor. As long as this card is based up in the storyline, if you have any crisis tokens at the end of the villain turn, you may discard one with no consequences. So that's cool. She's gonna get attack and move. Attack, move. Move heroic. Some attacks. Heroics. Some wilds. Her stepping discs, 2 copies of that. This lets her teleport. So again, we have another teleporter, but she teleports by going through limbo, and sometimes that doesn't always work out and people get stuck there. Move to any location. Kind of interesting that she doesn't get to take people with her, but that's alright. And then she has 2 copies of her Soul Sword. Deal 1 extra damage to any villain, henchman, or thug you deal damage to this turn. And then deals 2 damage. So that's really fun. You deal potentially at least 3 damage or spread it out. Because it's 1 to any... 1 extra damage to anyone you deal damage to. So she can either deal 3 damage to 1, or she can deal 2 damage to 2 different ones. Or more if she has more attack. Super fun there. Hey, she was also part of the Exiles for a while, or at least a version of her. I'm gonna make my Exiles team one way or the other, I swear. Here we have Warlock. Warlock is part of the Phalanx, which are a techno-organic race, alien race called the Techniarch. Also known as they go by both. Basically a cybernetic being. So when they came to Earth, they tried to... he's part of their collective, like a hive mind. He broke away from it and joined the team. He works lots with Cypher, Doug Ramsey, who they didn't put in this game because he has no attacking powers, generally. He would have had to... I was hoping maybe he was on one of Warlock's cards. That would have been fun, too. Yeah, he can basically shapeshift into whatever he wants. That's why he has a chainsaw hand, and he has, like, some other stuff. He can do cannons. He doesn't always understand culture, so he's kind of odd. But he's a really neat character to, like, read about in the comic books. He does have a starting card. Yeah, so the Phalanx tried to take over Earth. They're fighting against them. They could absorb humans and turn them into themselves, but they were trying to figure out how to unlock mutants because their DNA was just different enough. It was messing them up. And then later on they attacked stuff in space, and there's a big thing with that too. So it's a techno-organic life form. As long as this card is spaced up in the storyline, ignore the first crisis token you receive during each hero or villain turn. Now you see some of his shape-shifting. He has movement, attack, some heroics, move heroic, move attack, some wilds, 2 copies of Techno-Organic Feeding. Draw 1 card, then discard 1 crisis token from your location or from another hero in your location if possible. And 2 copies of Nanite Weapon. Gain 1 attack token, then you may freely exchange action tokens with another hero in your location. So that's kind of fun too. Yeah, at one point he combines with the dead body of Doug Ramsey to become Douglock, who's part of Excalibur again, a character we didn't get though. So yeah, he's definitely a neat little guy. Some of his abilities are fun too. Alright, up next we have Legion, Professor X's son, David Howler. This guy is crazy, so he's also a villain. And this is more of his, again, his 90s era thing. He is sitting on a giant brain. So his mutant ability is he has 1,000 mutant abilities. Each one is a split personality. Yes, he's kind of crazy. So he doesn't always have access to them. Some comics he does later gain access to them. But generally he doesn't, and it's just whatever ability he has, the personality takes over. But it also gave him other powers. So, like, we'll just start looking at his cards and we'll show you exactly what I mean. And they did really neat on the artwork for this. So this is actually really cool. So here we have his first one, and I'm going to zoom in maybe a little bit more on this. We have Kinetic. So here they have a bunch of his personalities in the background, and they highlighted the one he is. So what he does is he becomes this. It says you may move any heroes to locations of your choice. Moved heroes must discard one card from their hand to the bottom of their deck. So he becomes this character. So he talks, his accent changes, his voice changes. Generally, the appearance doesn't change unless it's part of that person's mutant ability. But he gains all of their powers. So here's a second one. He becomes Jack Wayne. Heroes anywhere can freely exchange their action tokens between them. He has move and heroic. I don't remember what all these characters' regular abilities are, because he has so many different ones. But yeah, so he basically becomes this character. He acts and he has the mannerisms of him. He can become Singy. Attack in each adjacent location. Each hero there takes 1 damage. We can become Sally. Each other hero in the location takes 1 damage. You cannot take any damage until the beginning of your next turn. We have Delphic. With the top card of your master plan deck. You may place it on the bottom. Each other hero in the location takes 1 damage. So he gets abilities, but because he's not in control, he might hurt the other people around him. We have Bleeding Image. Take 1 damage, then deal 2 damage to everything else in your location. Discard all civilians there. We have Chain. This turn you may use heroic and attack actions in locations where there are other heroes. If you do, heroes in those locations must discard 1 action token each if possible. Yeah, I know what Chain's abilities are. He has this ability. He can make duplicates of himself by basically taking over other people's bodies. So that's kind of where this ability comes from. Hypno Block. Deal 1 damage to the villain, or delay the villain turn by 1 card. Heroes must play their randomly until their next villain turn. We have 0G Priestley. The next Master Plan card has a special effect. The effect is cancelled as long as this card is face up in the storyline. Heroes must play with their hands revealed. And then we have Susan in Sunshine. Each other hero, villain, and henchman in your location takes double damage until your next turn. So that's actually cool. Legion's definitely an interesting character. This is a neat way to present him. He's got 2 big stories, I guess. So there's one, I guess three big stories that kind of involve him. One's Age of Apocalypse. He kicked it off. He went back in time, tried to kill Magneto, because that would make his father could spend more time with him if he wasn't battling Magneto all the time. Accidentally killed Xavier. Because of that, then he didn't exist. Caused the entire thing in the Age of Apocalypse happened. Creating alternate reality. Like the time it was the reality changed everything. But then it became an alternate reality, when they fixed it. The other big 2 he was in was Age of X, which so it's a variation of that was basically mutants were all stuck in one location. Humans were hunting them. They found out it was created because one of his personalities shoved all the X-Men in like a certain vicinity into a created bubble world. So that way he could be Legion could be like the hero, one of the main heroes of that world. So that was kind of an interesting thing. And then the follow to that is when they fixed that world, and they returned everything back to normal. Bunch of his personalities escaped. So he worked with Magneto, Xavier, a couple other people like Rogue, Gambit, and Frenzy, who's, I think that's the other one that's not in here. And she'd be a cool addition too. But yeah, so they were working to try and regain these personalities. So those are a couple of his big ones. I mean, he had other stuff in the 90s as well. He's worked with the New Mutants for a while here and there. Other storylines too. Alright, up next we are going across the pond, and we are going to go to Britain and look at Excalibur. So here we have Captain Britain, Brian Braddock, Psylocke's brother. He is not a mutant. So you'll have X-Men sets. He's not actually a mutant. He is granted the power of the Britain Corps, who are a multi-universal thing. So there's a Captain Britain, supposed to be one for every universe or reality. And it's just to protect it. Essentially, he's like super strength, flight, all the fun powers. The current comic books, he's now Captain Avalon because Betsy is Captain Britain. So he has flight. Heroic, attack, move heroic. There's a move attack. His wilds. And then 4 copies of this movement ability with channeling interdimensional energy. Draw a card or gain any combination of 2 movement, heroic, or attack tokens. So yeah, it's kind of a little Swiss Army knife there of what he needs to do. In the comics, he's also married to Megan, who's a emotional shapeshifter. It's kind of a fun character. Fortunately, they didn't put her in this set. She was also a big player in the Excalibur series. Our next Excalibur character is going to be Rachel Summers, who is also known as Phoenix. And then currently she is... Oh, geez, what is her code name? She keeps changing her code name. I don't remember. Sorry, there's way too much comic book stuff. So, Phoenix is a definitely interesting character. So, this is the daughter of Cyclops and Jean Grey. From an alternate future, she became a hound to Ahab. Another long story there we're not going to get into. She possesses the Phoenix Force that her mom had. Her starting card. I flame those really cool. So her red outfit despite is because she was a hound for Sabretooth, in that she was trained using her telepathic powers to hunt down other mutants. She also gained powers of the Phoenix for a while. During X-Force, really cool. And then now she has a costume. She keeps bouncing back between costumes and things like that. But yeah, she's technically Cable's sister. But it's also from an alternate reality. But also in the Cable's alternate future, where he's sent into the future as a kid, a version of her as an old lady is the one that helps raise her. So it's comic books are weird. That's all I can say. She has some fun powers here. So we have Uncanny Power to start with. As long as this card is based up on the storyline, other heroes must ignore and skip the Phoenix cards in the storyline. Basically saying her powers are too powerful for other heroes to borrow. So that's kind of an interesting thing. So we're gonna get her wilds. Then all her other cards are different. So she's got the Phoenix Cry. She has 5 wilds. Then discard all cards from your hand to the bottom of your deck. That could definitely be a great end of the game thing. But this is also a bottom of the deck card. So we've seen one more loading like that. This will be the last card you draw. So you draw it, use it when you need it, but it's going to kind of end whatever you need to do. Otherwise, she has 2 copies of Empathy. Give 2 wild tokens from the pool to another hero. She's got 3 copies of Phoenix Force Avatar. Gives her 2 wilds. And then she's got 2 copies of this Phoenix Force Avatar to give her 3 wild. And 1 Timing Manipulation. Delay the next villain by 1 turn, and she gives her a wild. So she's got all these wilds. It's all she has. But that Uncanny Power is very interesting. So, yeah, as long as it's based up on the story, other heroes must ignore and skip Phoenix cards in the storyline. So you just look at the card before it, avoiding whatever she has, so she can't be handing out these wilds. But she's still adding cards to the table. Yeah, so she's kind of a little bit overpowered, but that's what you're going to get when you're playing as the Phoenix. Alright, we have everyone's favorite German Excalibur member, X-Men member, everything else. He is our priest. He is Nightcrawler, Kurt Wagner. There's Banff teleporting down there. The card that character during the campaign everyone was looking for. Constance, where's Nightcrawler? Where's Nightcrawler? He's one of the last characters adding. I think they did it as a... Once people started asking, I think they just held off. But yeah, this has to be like a fun alternate reality character with like Age of Apocalypse, because he's more of a swashbuckler. So you got like something different with that. So he's got 2 wilds. And then he has a bunch of awesome different cards. So he's got 4 copies of Banff. Anyone need a lift? You must move to any other location. You may bring another character in your location with you. He's got 4 copies of Banff and Guard. You must move to another location. He's just going to keep moving, but he can move anywhere. And then we have Banff, Auf Warschein. I'm sure I butchered that German. You must move to any location, double attack. And Banff, Fear No Evil. You must move to another location, double heroic. I can kind of see with these cards why they didn't put them in a regular set. Because I think they tried to save the very crazy or unique characters for the Kickstarter, and tried to make everyone else in the other sets play at least more on the level. And then some of these Kickstarter characters are almost abusive. But we needed another teleporter. Because so far in this set, we've had Nightcrawler, Blink, Pixie, Cloak, and Dupe has a little bit. So, and Magic has, well, she has her own, I guess. But at least 4 teleporters. It's actually kind of fun. Up next, we have another fun character. We have Shadowcat, Kitty Pride. This is an awesome miniature. She's going through the wall. Like, that's the only way you could make this, right? Member of Excalibur. Also, Colossus's on and off again girlfriend. Then we also have this fun little miniature. We have Lockheed the Dragon shooting out flames. So Lockheed gets to play with Shadowcat. And we have a starting card, which is, of course, Lockheed. Lockheed, go. Put Lockheed into play at your location or an adjacent one. As long as this card is spaced up in the start line, you may use your move to move Lockheed instead. So you can move Lockheed around. Yeah, these characters, again, some of these characters have some really cool or different ways of playing, which make this really fun. So they're not, like, we have the last couple, Nightcrawler and Phoenix didn't just have, like, attack, move, that, they get different stuff. Kitty Pryde is getting this as well, so she's teaming up directly with Lockheed. So help them, Lockheed. Heroic in the location Lockheed is in. Let's get them, Lockheed. Attack in the location Lockheed is in. So basic these cards is Shadowcat can be in one spot and use the tokens on the stuff on the bottom. Lockheed can be in another spot and use the attacks in his location. She can be hitting multiple spots at once, or she can be hanging out with him. You can be doing double damage in an area. Lockheed's Fire Breath, double damage to the location Lockheed is in. We got one of those with attack, one with move, and one with heroic. And of course we're going to have our 2 wilds. And then she's going to have 2 copies of phasing. You cannot take any damage until the beginning of your next turn. For each damage you would take, gain 1 heroic instead. And then we have 2 copies of phasing others, move heroic. You can move another hero with you this turn. Other heroes in your location cannot take any damage until the beginning of your next turn. So that is definitely fun there. You can see an arm, but you can't see who it is. That's a very clever way of doing that. Yeah, that's a fun little different way to play a character. With a little buddy. I know we're going to get at least one other character that has a very similar concept. So we'll see if you know who that is. Alright, so now we've looked at New Mutants who are also exports. We looked at Excalibur. We've had X-Men, main team, red. Oh, well, not red, just gold, blue. We've had X-Force, Deadpool characters. We've had all these teams. We haven't had X-Factor yet. So we have Havoc. Even though this isn't the costume he had during that team, during that era, this is definitely one of his classic ones with the headband. So Havoc is Alex Summers, Cyclops' brother. So he has solar absorption powers just like Cyclops, but instead of releasing from his eyes, he can generate these bursts of energy, like plasma bursts, probably, because they're solar. Here to show him shooting out his chest, he can shoot them off of his hands, kind of wherever he wants. And then he led X-Factor for a long time, which is the government mutant team. So they work with the government to try and like help, kind of like make mutants not seem bad. So created some of those characters. So here we have a movement, move, attack, attack, double attack, heroic, double heroic, some wilds. We got 2 copies of Plasma Burst, 3 attack in 1 adjacent location, and 2 copies of Absorb Cosmic Energy. Gain 1 attack token. You cannot take any damage to the beginning of your next turn. So another aspect of X Factor was the second version of the team. Actually, was X Factor Investigation. So they started up an investigation group, and then the current team is also a bunch of investigators, which is made up of some members from this group, some with some other characters. But yeah, there's some cool stuff there. Also seeing Havoc here makes me think I would love, talking about alternate reality stuff, I would love the Mutant X series, which had him leading a team of 6, which was Storm in her vampire form, which is Bloodstorm. Angel was the Fallen, he was more demonic than Metal Wings. Iceman couldn't turn back into human. Beast was called Brute, he had like an amphibian form. Madeline Pryor was on the team as the Goblin Queen. Some other really cool stuff there. Another interesting what if alternate reality that would be cool to do. Here we have Polaris, or Polaris, I guess, depends on how you pronounce it. So, she was a main member of the X-Force, X Factor, sorry. Havoc's on and off again girlfriend. Also, more recently, revealed to be Magneto's daughter. Which makes sense, she has magnetic powers. But no one really connected the dots until more recently. So we just see what she does. She's going to have movement. Move attack. Move heroic, move attack. Just attack. Double attack. Some heroics. Some wilds. 2 copies of Magnetic Manipulation. So double attack in your or an adjacent location. And 2 copies of Magnetic Fields. You cannot take any damage until the beginning of your next turn. It's kind of interesting there. She's currently part of the X Factor investigation team in the current comic books, along with like Dakin and North Star, as well as some other characters that you might not know as much about, like Prodigy and iBoy. Again, so many more characters. They could make another full X-Men set. I'd love to have one that's like half X-Men, half Marvel, like a little bit of everything, just to fill out some of these teams. But definitely you could do some cool stuff there. You can make alt, like, I know they wouldn't do it, but I wouldn't even mind alt decks for some of these characters, even if they didn't make more minis. Here we have Bane. So she is a full shapeshifter of lycanthropic nature, so like werewolf. So she can become full human, her half wolf form, which you see here, or into a full wolf. And she actually falls in love and has a baby with and has Guardian Wolf, I believe it is, or something like that. So interesting stuff there. So yeah, she's kind of neat. Rain Sinclair, she was raised by a terrible religious person. She got that beaten to her, like, kind of literally. I don't know if she actually got beaten, but it was like hammered into her, like she was kind of a bad person, like she'd be ashamed of her powers. It's interesting character. Wolverine kind of has a soft spot for her too, but Wolverine has a soft spot for all the kids. That's just who Wolverine is. Movement, move attack, move, heroic. They're a little bit more, shop a little bit more wolf form. Attack, double attack, or wilds. 2 copies of Hyper Keen Senses. If during the next villain turn the villain ends their movement in your location, you may immediately move to an adjacent one and double attack there. And then 2 copies of Furl Attack. Defeat all thugs in your location. That's powerful. Love that the moon's out, even though she doesn't need the moon to transform. But that's a little funny little nod. Alright, we have a very interesting character up next. One that always makes the top 10 lists of dumb characters, because people only read his name and don't want to learn about him. We have Geigel Corsarella, or Strong Guy. So he's a big, giant, muscly guy. He has a kinetic absorption power. Basically, if he gets hit any type of physical attack or physical damage, he absorbs it into himself. He can essentially bulk up and grow bigger. And then he can release it into, like, more powerful attacks. So, like, he's just a strong guy. He's a big, tough guy. Actually, when he was a kid, a teenager, and his power kicked off, his bullies were picking on him. He got pushed in front of a bus or a car or something like that. It hit him. His power triggered. He absorbed all the energy and became like this big, giant, massive guy like this. That's why he's more top-heavy. But he didn't know that he had to release the energy. So his form got stuck that way. So he uses a lot of comedy and humor and stuff. But he's actually like a sad kind of character because like he got stuck in this giant form well before he should have. And he's in pain. He died from a heart attack, came back, went to hell for a while because he lost his soul, ruled hell, until the Red Hulk and his Thunderbolts kicked him out of hell. Very interesting story there. He's best friends with Multiple Man. We'll get to see next. A little hint there. Alright, so let's take a look at him. He also ran around, before he joined all the superhero teams, he ran around space with Lila Shenyi, who I'm surprised isn't in here with all these teleporters, because she's a universal teleporter. Alright, so we got his cards. Move, attack. Move, attack, he's probably going to have a lot of attack. Attack, double attack, little heroic, little movement, some wilds, and then 4 copies of Kinetic Energy Absorption, 1 with each different symbol on the bottom. And you cannot take any damage until the start of your next turn. For each damage you would take, gain 1 strength or fight token instead. If this card is face up in the storyline and you have 4 or more action tokens, discard all action tokens in your hand. And your hand. So basically it's, he absorbs too much, he's gonna lose everything. So, yeah, he can keep absorbing these, but if you take too many or you save them action tokens up too much, he absorbs too much, he loses it. But that's still kind of cool. It's an interesting take on his ability. Alright, and we got him. Alright, I gotta stand up to grab the next guy, because they're getting farther away from me. Alright, we have, and we've already spoiled who it was, we have Multiple Man. Jamie Madrox. Or Maddox. So he has duplication powers. So he can take physical damage, whether he gets punched, falls down, hits his hand on something. Sometimes it's automatic, sometimes it's not. It just kind of depends on his concentration power. But you can create duplicates. Sometimes these duplicates, though, get their own personalities. So you got a starting card here. Yeah, they can get duplication, or they can get their own personalities and cause other issues, and there's a lot of interesting stuff with him. I love this symbol up here for him because it's a mixture of kind of this costume he's sort of wearing right now with like the blue circle and like the line down there, but then that little yellow line with the little circle on it is representing his original costume, which is like this green one with these like bunch of dots on him when he worked on Muir Island. So that's kind of interesting. Alright, so he's got Kinetic Duplication. As long as this card is faced up on the star line, once per turn you may place one dupe token in your location. Functions as a civilian. You may use heroic and attack actions as if you were in any dupe's location. So here are our dupe tokens. So you keep the blue backer so you know that they're civilians. Kind of like the Fantastic Four set had Dr. Doom's, or also Thugs, and had a red one. They're double-sided, so whichever side you pick up. But yeah, that's fun. So basically you can spread his dupes around to every other location. And then use attacking heroic actions there, so you can do whatever you need. So he's also got his wilds, and all his other cards are special. So he's got 4 copies of Spreading Dupes. Move up to 2 dupes to the location adjacent to them. So move and heroic. And he's got 4 copies of Duplication Absorption. Remove as many dupe tokens from your location as you wish. Draw 1 card for each token removed. So move and fight. And then his final card is Dupes Assemble. Each dupe may perform 1 free heroic or attack, then remove each activated dupe token. That's actually really great because you can have spread them out to all 6 areas, or have more than 1 in each area. Do a bunch of stuff and then remove them. Also cleans a bunch of the spaces off, the civilians off. So that's actually really fun. He could be definitely fun to play as. Alright, we are on to our last team of characters. Our last 5 characters in the heroes, and then we'll do another video with villains. So we have everyone's favorite superhero team. At least they're one of mine. We have the Alpha Flight team with Guardian. There are definitely exclusions from this set. There's a little maple leaf on the side there. They only did 5 of them. So like I said, you're trying to keep lots of these teams at like 4 or 5 characters. So there's tons of Alpha Flight characters. They couldn't obviously do all of them. But there's a few missing that it's really weird that they didn't put them in there. So we'll kind of talk about them together. So we'll start with Guardian here. Their symbols are a maple leaf. Kind of like the Fantastic Four all had the same symbol, just different colors. These guys do as well too, and I love that. So movement heroic. This is James Hudson, by the way. He's one of the guys that, along with Heather Hudson, who rescued Weapon X Wolverine and then brought him into Alpha Flight. Too bad we didn't get an Alpha Flight version of Wolverine. That would have been fun too. It'd probably make 2 different than regular Wolverine. Move attack, heroic attack, double attack. So he's got like this cybernetic suit, because he's not actually a mutant at all. He's just got a suit that he wears. Double heroic. Some wilds. He's got Alpha Flight. Gain 1 wild token for each face-up Alpha Flight card in the storyline. Electromagnetic beams. 2 attacks against 2 different targets in your location. Battlesuit armor. You cannot take any damage until the beginning of your next turn. And leadership. Give 1 wild token from the pool to another hero. So we didn't get his counterpart, which is Vindicator. And part of me understands why, because they're basically the same character. Obviously not personality and stuff like that, but she just has a suit that's identical. She takes over for a while as leader, so it would have been, what would you have made them different, I guess. I would still love to have them, even if I had both of them that I could compete, that would have been fine. So here we have North Star, our resident speedster. You got a cool star. So the clear exclusion here, because if I had her, I would do it the same way I showed off Cloak and Dagger at the same time. You do not have an Aurora. I don't know why. It's North Star and Aurora. When you're doing Alpha Flight, you do both. If they're just doing X-Men, I get North Star because he's been part of the X-Men teams for quite a long time. He's also one of the first openly gay characters with his husband. Oh, I want to say his name is Kevin, but that sounds wrong. But yeah, so but even then they could have had him as put him in his X-Men costume rather than his Alpha Flight costume. And then now Aurora is part of the current X-Factor series with him. So they could have included her, so I don't know why they didn't. It's one of the big weird exclusions. So he does have a starting card. So he has flight. As long as this card is based up in the storyline, when you perform a move action, you may bring another hero in your location with you. He's going to get heroic, move heroic, attack, so he can shoot some like light blasts, move attack, double move. We don't see a lot of double moves. Some hero or wilds. He also has the Alpha Flight ability, so gain 1 heroic for each face-up Alpha Flight card in the storyline. Concussive Blast, he has 1 with move, 1 with heroic. Double attack, split as you like in your and adjacent locations. Nothing that really, like, he has his flight, but nothing that really represents his super speed, unfortunately. That's, again, a little bit odd. Something would have been like, he does have his flight, but it would have been neat if he had something that went with him being able to move to multiple locations. Just trying to grab the last couple of characters quick. Alright, our next Alpha Flight characters, maybe, again, it's cool that they put her in here, but Aurora would have been more of a probably more knowing character. But we have Snowbird, who is also not technically a mutant. She's a goddess of some sort. I don't remember exactly what she's a goddess, how she ties into it, but she has powers from that, not from mutant. She can shapeshift, do all this other stuff. She can turn into animals of the Arctic, essentially, like up in Canada kind of thing. So we'll look at her stuff. So she's going to have yes, she turned like a polar bear claw, move attack, move heroic. So there's some other different animals she can become or friends with. Movement, double attack, move heroic, her 2 wilds, her Alpha Flight card, gain 1 move or 1 heroic for each face-up Alpha Flight in the storyline. Post-cognition, as long as this card is based up with the storyline, gain 1 wild token whenever one of your cards in the storyline is turned face down. So I don't know how often that will happen, so that's kind of interesting. 2 copies of animal shape-shifting, but 1 gives a wild and a heroic, 1 gives a wild and attack. And then her last one is Mystical Resistance. As long as this card is spaced up in the storyline, you can't be forced to play cards randomly. And then she has a connection to the Great Beasts. which Alpha Flight is usually fighting. That's one of their big enemies. All those. I can't remember Snowbird's actual name either. She does, because she has a civilian identity that's like, I think, a doctor or a ranger. But it's kind of like a original, like, Thor, Dr. Blake, Donald Blake type situation. So there's that. Anyhow, here is Eugene Judd. This is Puck. So yes, he's upside down. He has, he's a very interesting character as well. He teams up with Wolverine a lot. He actually helped Wolverine when Wolverine was in hell. He has, magical reasons for his dwarfism. So basically his mutant ability is he can kind of like bounce around a lot. That's essentially it. But he was an explorer, but he found this magical artifact. It shrunk him down into his pint size. That's why he calls himself Puck, because it's a play on sort of like the magical Puck of like fairyhood. But also because he wears a black costume, he's a little guy that bounces around like a hockey puck because they're a Canadian team. Because his daughter is a full-grown adult who also has the power. He can bounce around and have like incredible agility. But yeah, it's a very interesting thing. He's not naturally a dwarf. He has some magical curse on him. So move, attack, move, heroic, double attack, move, heroic, a heroic, some wilds. So 2 regular wilds and a double wild. He's got his Alpha Flight, which gains a movement or attack for each face-up Alpha Flight card. Tactical Intelligence, swap the threat in your location with one in an adjacent location. Acrobatic Fighting Style, move, attack, and an attack. And Compressed Rubber Physiology, I guess that's what they call it. Allows this card space up in your storyline. You may ignore 1 damage dealt by each henchman villain in a turn. I don't think that was it was a starting card. So you would have started with that, so you have that out right away. That was Puck. I like the Alpha Flight team thing. That's kind of a neat idea. So the only other characters that really have that type of synergy have been the Fantastic Four. This is our last character for the heroes. This is Sasquatch. Who's both these guys are actually part of the Alpha Flight team, the more current one, which is a space program. Also a thing. So here's Sasquatch. Who I can't think of his name now. Oh, it's gonna bother me. The white version of Sasquatch also was in exile, so I could kind of pretend that this is the exiled version, because he does become the orange version, which is Tanarak, which is one of the great beasts. But he gained his powers due to radiation, kind of like the Hulk. I'm going to remember his name later. It's going to drive me nuts until I remember. Alright, so let's look at Sasquatch. So he can basically transform into Sasquatch or back into his human form. So it's kind of like the Canadian Hulk, except he retains all his intelligence, unlike Bruce Banner. So his movement, move, attack, 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 doubly attack, some heroics, his wilds, his Alpha Flight. He gains 1 attack token for each face-up Alpha Flight in the storyline. 2 copies of Controlled Fury. 2 attack against up to 2 different targets at your location, And then finally, he has claws. Double attack against a single target in your location. Walker Lansky or Lakowski? That's what it was. Oh boy. That was sitting there on the tip of my tongue. Yeah, I like the Alpha Flight keyword. That's actually kind of fun. Being able to, like, give you a reason to play these guys as a team. If you don't play them as a team or have multiple, they have one card. It's a lot less useful. I would rather have... this would be hard. You have to implement it over everything. But there would have been kind of a neat idea for... characters have cards like that, just called like Alpha Flight, or like the characters in like X-Men, like Blue Team, Gold Team, or First Class, to just have a card called that, or or more do like this and have like a team symbol, like, and they always have the same symbol instead of a different picture for each character, and then have like a team card off to the side that's like, oh, if you play these cards, they do this. So your Fantastic Four have that neat synergy with putting tokens together. It would have been kind of neat if you could have been, or even just, if you put them together and you just had to know what characters work with what. Because you have like the one card Baxter building location, says any Fantastic Four characters. And then the instruction book lists several other ones. It would have been neat to do something like that with this game too. Been like Alpha Flight characters, a little card that gives a bonus to Alpha Flight characters, or one that can give bonus to like Excalibur, X-Force, New Mutants, and they have the list of all the different characters that can be part of those different teams. And since some of them have been multiple teams, that would be cool as well. And like Avengers, because you could have like one Avenger team, you could split it up to like this Avenger team, like Secret Avengers or New Avengers. Yeah, that would have all been really neat stuff as well. Alright, so that was part 2 of the hero video. Check out part 1 if you haven't. Check out all the other Kickstarters. Come back and check out the villain set. We're going to do all those. Hopefully they don't go as long as this one does. But see you guys then. Bye.